Welcome back to At the Hill on the Rocket Productions Network. I'm your host, Alexa Marshall. My good friends Kimberlyn Lovell and Jonathan Moore will join me shortly. If you have missed any episodes of At the Hill, go find the Rocket Production Network on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or any place you listen to podcasts. All of our episodes are also on the Rocket Productions YouTube channel. If you are not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Be sure to check out Rocket Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Let's get into it. We're here today with Mr. Blauser. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, thank you.
So, what is our fall production this year, and how did you choose this production?
The fall production for this year is the classic American tale, Little Women, largely chosen because of, at the present, most of our drama department are women, so it just seemed to be a good match for the department.
Yeah.
Did you try and find a play that fit with a bunch of women then? Or did you just pick off of older productions then?
Well, we did do this show 10 years ago. Originally, the plan was with my seniors, we were going to be thinking of doing actually Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, but we were short one ultra hot guy, according to the seniors here, so we decided to do Little Women instead.
So that was a huge detriment to them.
Well, not exactly a detriment here, but in order to have an effective Jane Austen production, it required some casting that we just didn't have at present, and so the American version, Little Women, seemed to be much more of a match.
When choosing a production for fall or spring, what does that process look like? Do you go through a bunch of shows, or do you just kind of have one in mind?
It's a little bit of both, actually. Generally, I start thinking of shows about a year in advance, just kind of thinking of the personalities that we have to work with. This year, it kind of came about pretty fast. I kind of started talking to the seniors as early as April about, is there anything that you would kind of like to do? And this was one that was just kind of bouncing around in my head. And then we just kind of started a little bit in September and kind of went into pre-production. And then I started working with a few of my seniors, Brig Culbertson, who is largely kind of put himself in charge of constructing pretty much the entire set. And then Charlie Chung has taken over pretty much most of the artistic portions of the set. I take over the tech, and then most of the storyline has been filled in by Lily Ricchini and Becca Craddock.
Are these stories, you said you come up with them a year before. Do you come up with a new story, or do you look at pre-existing stories?
Generally speaking, I'm kind of a classicist when it kind of comes to that. I did the show 10 years ago, actually, to almost the day. 2013 is the last time I did this. And pretty much it's kind of a mix, Jonathan, as far as what I really want to do. I kind of prefer the older stuff. Because of, the storylines are a little bit better, the politics aren't as racy, and some of the language is just a little bit more articulate.
So it's more safe option, you'll say?
By the whole, yes. So there's some stuff today, while it might be good, I don't know how that played in Rose Hill. It's more kind of college fair or something for New York City or Chicago or something, so.
How long does it take to build a production and get it set up, get it prepared? And then still learn all the lines.
A long time.
Generally, boy, that's kind of touch and go here. Most of the time, our production schedule's about 6 to 8 weeks. Set design kind of comes together on its own. Kind of just depends. We just kind of do it when we're not rehearsing. Lines, memorization, things like that kind of depends on the actor. Our more seasoned actors or veterans tend to pick up on it faster, and then some of our newbies takes them a little bit longer.
All right,
So.
sounds good.
I know you take people from the art room to help you with set design because you've done that before. Is that really, really common?
It has been for me. You go where the talent is. And so fortunately, for the last 15, 20 years, Hilders has been the main go-to guy. And then I'll go up to him and said, hey, who do you have? And now we have Mr. Barton, who is equally as enthusiastic. And so since I don't really have the artistic talent to paint here, generally I'll go to him and say, hey, who do you have if we don't have it in the drama department? And then we just kind of wing it from there. So.
Sounds fun. Which Rose Hill students are going to be your lead actors this year for the production?
Pretty much the leads are, since we have the 4 daughters, the leads are Lily Ricchini, Becky Craddock, Addie Helmerstein, and Shaylee Andrews, and Sophia Butler are pretty much the main leads for this year.
Are those all seniors?
I think most of them, yes.
Is seniors very common to be leads?
Normally speaking, yes, it just kind of depends. For example, Becca Craddock has actually been almost a lead role since she was a freshman. It just kind of depends on one's level of talent. And unlike other larger 6A schools, you could actually come in as a freshman and get a lead role immediately if you just have a liking for the role and just kind of taken with it. So.
Do you go through like an auditioning process, or do you just kind of get to know them and kind of pick them?
For the main stage shows, we do have an audition process. Which they do read. For the most part, the established talent, I'm kind of aware of where their talents lie. But then I always get kind of the diamond in the rough that comes in out of nowhere, which has happened. And I'll be like, oh, look at this. That's kind of fun. So.
Is it fun seeing different people like try new things or do new roles that you don't expect? Just kind of act differently for a different role?
That is the intent. Sometimes people like the same kinds of roles, and so I do try to mix it up a little bit. At least this is a show that is a little bit more standard fare as far as we've had a few kind of dark mystery thrillers where there's lots of mayhem and death and all kinds of things here. But yeah, Little Women is a show for all ages, so not really any of that. So, I mean, it's set back in the Civil War, so you have some serious themes, but no one gets like shot on stage or anything like that. In the show.
Yeah, I just like that's a common occurrence.
With a lot of our shows, yeah, mayhem kind of comes with the territory where we've been the past few years, and probably we'll go right back to it. Our next show, which is scheduled for February, it's called Night Watch. Very popular movie made famous by Elizabeth Taylor back in the early 70s. Will be coming out in February, and I don't know what we're doing for a spring show yet. I'm still working with my seniors on that.
Who is Elizabeth Taylor? I do not know.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Who is that?
Famous actress.
Very famous actor who was mainstay of the silver screen for about 30, 40 years. So.
You see, I'm not really know much about theater.
Yeah, come to drama. I'll teach you about it.
I sure you will. So, would you
Sorry.
like to go?
Sure. For your seniors that you have, are most of them, is this their 4th year being in drama?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3 of them. This will be their 4th year, and then, for example, Lily, she was in drama her freshman year, and then it took me 3 years to talk her back to get back in the program. So, some just vary, and then they kind of come back, and that's a good thing. So.
Is it easier to have, like as seniors or for lead roles, is it easier for them to be in drama for those 4 years, or does it really matter?
It really kind of depends on the play. I try not to insist on like a seniority system. Just because you're an upperclassman doesn't mean you always get the lead. Largely it's just kind of what we pick as a script and kind of who best fits that particular part.
Yeah.
So I know in movies there's sometimes people like free their lines and they use that take. Has anyone like thrown out a line not on script and just used it?
It's live theater, so yeah, many times, if not constantly, there's always a little bit of improv kind of going on. Sometimes better, and sometimes, yeah, you go down a rabbit hole, and then that's, even as the director, I don't know where they're coming out. But hey, you know what? So far, so good. They've finished every show I've ever directed, so it's a good thing.
So you encourage it, you would say?
Largely, yes, because of... Yeah, I'm kind of in charge of it, but they're the ones on the stage, they're the one on the lights, and so they got to be confident on where they're going and in each other, and hopefully they get to this side. And it's a good crew this year, so I'm pretty certain they'll do a good job.
You keep on saying that you're very detached from it, like you want them to push forward. So you're saying that I look over everyone, make sure everyone's doing it right, and just stay back.
Well, there's a direction, a vision that I kind of have in my head. But then there's also, I try to encourage them to have a lot of autonomy, just to kind of take roles and, particular scenes their own way. And if they have an idea, chances are it's better than mine. And, hey, they're the ones up there under scrutiny. So generally, I let them run with it unless I absolutely hate it, and then I'll tell them to stop.
Is that a common occurrence?
Sometimes we do drift a little bit far afield, but with actors, that's a normal thing. So while common, it's not anything I freak out about.
Now a word from our sponsors.
If you're looking to continue your education, choose Butler County College. It's a public two-year community college located in El Dorado, Kansas. Students have access to over 90 academic programs. They are the biggest community college in Kansas. If you are interested, call 316-776-9429.
Welcome back to At the Hill, and today we're here with Mr. Blauser. So when it comes to casting, how difficult or easy is it to process and choose which actor fits each character that you have?
Depends on the show. When we do the one acts, which are happening in the spring, that's the only show that I just kind of picked completely from my own, no auditions. I have a show, I have my head, I rework the script, and then I cast it. Okay, that's pretty easy because that's all from me. Main stage shows, kind of depending, try to balance it out. If like one person takes the lead in one show, just kind of spread out around a little bit. I try to mix it up a little during the course of the year. Fortunately, our department is not very big, and so I don't have to worry about crunching large numbers like, 50, 60 people, which I know might be nice, but I'm so used to having a department of less than 20, I don't know how I would handle that.
That's very fair. How long does the audition process usually take?
About 2-3 days,
Okay.
generally speaking. If it really kind of comes to it, we'll do callbacks and then have them run it again, just to make certain that we are where we are. And then there's always I always tell them, okay, once we kind of get started, if it then becomes apparent that we need to make a character change, on occasion, though not very often, that can happen.
Do you try and cast certain actors as certain characters, or do you try and mix it up and challenge them even after their auditions?
Well, I'd be lying if I said some people, are very good at particular roles. And so, yes, I do actually select specific plays, sometimes for specific groups of people in mind, because of, I'm just the type of guy who, I don't pick a play and says, okay, this is the play I want to do, and then I'll just make the cast come to it. Generally, I think of the people I have first and then get a play that complements their talents.
So there's a lot of plays. Where do you get your sources from? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, fortunately, I also attempted to teach English in the building, so a lot of it comes from that. Just a lot of reading. I actually wasn't into drama before 2005, when Ms. Dockers asked me for a favor. You can see where that went. And then after that, it's just kind of looking around the kind of the landscape of what I'm kind of familiar with, and then something kind of gets my attention, and then we just kind of run with it. Sometimes a lot of them tend to be forensics based, and I'll see somebody perform a particular piece, and I'm like, oh, we should do like the full version of that. Or other times, like a few years ago, I had a few seniors who, one wanted to do Dracula. One wanted to do the play Dracula, one wanted Steel Magnolias, and one wanted to do And Then There Were None. And since they were seniors, I said, fine, and we did all three.
Wow.
So
That's a lot of work.
Does it ever feel overwhelming having to pick a certain place?
The play selection itself is not overwhelming. What's overwhelming is actually where we are right now, 2 weeks out, just trying to have it all come together. I mean, I know it will, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going to.
That's very fair.
How long have you been in charge of the drama department?
Officially, when I kind of started, which was about going on 20 years ago, I was just kind of in the wings. I was taking photos and just hanging out, really, because I just like plays. Then about 2008 or so, Ted Whiteside, who was our main kind of visiting director who worked with Ms. Dockers, just kind of invited me in. And then pretty much I kind of played tandem with that until about 2015, when Ted unfortunately passed away from cancer. Then kind of between Ms. Dockers and myself, I kind of took over the scripting and the rehearsing and the tech aspect of it, and she took over the wardrobe, which she still does with Miss Wajak. and she does wardrobe and props and creative design. So,
Do you still see yourself doing this for a very long time?
I hope so. It is very taxing on the nerves, but hopefully, as long as I keep doing quality products, they keep me around. So, one hopes.
What about this production has you the most excited? Is there a way to tell if you're more excited about this one than previous ones?
Every show brings its own energy. This one is good because finally the students actually get to play teenagers, which, believe it or not, doesn't happen very often. Most of the time I pick stuff that is some pretty advanced material where people are playing adults and things like that. The four sisters have a really good stage chemistry with each other, and they've really kind of ramped up. For those of you familiar with Little Women, this show goes a little bit on the extreme part of that. I've really ramped up the sibling rivalry. So well, a lot more fighting between sisters, I think, in this production than there are in some, because of, well, we just wanted to liven it up and make it a little bit more realistic.
Do you think it's easier than for to play adults or teenagers, even though they are teenagers?
Well, the nice thing about sometimes having teens playing the role of adults is, okay, though most of my plays, and I will totally admit this, are somewhat toxic, meaning they're not, generally they're really about terrible things and about not very nice people, because that's more fun to play. There's usually a learning experience kind of with that, and then hopefully it's like, okay, this is just a script, and this went off the rails, so hopefully you learn from it, and then your own life, just don't do that.
Has there ever been a play that you announced you're going to do and then had to cancel it later?
Yes. That happened this past year, actually, and sometimes things just don't happen. Sometimes things just never get off the ground and never get off the block in rehearsal. And then, this past year, actually, we were attempting to do a version of William Shakespeare's Macbeth that it's a cursed play, which might explain it. Something happened just kind of with the entire process and kind of crashed and burned, and about after 2-3 weeks, we kind of pulled the plug on it and ended up going another direction to salvage what was left of the season. So it does happen. Sometimes things just don't work out.
What do you mean is a cursed play?
They're just common theater superstition about the Scottish play, as it's referred to in an auditorium, about how just a lot of times really terrible things happen to people doing that play. People have accidents, broken legs, losing their voice. Weird accidents happen to them after the fact. And it's been through its history actually since its inception 400 years ago. So it's just superstition. It's not meant to be taken seriously, but some people call it a cursed production.
Maybe it was a good thing you didn't do that play.
Yeah.
The way it was going, yeah, it was cursed.
Okay. Well, can you give us the dates and show times for when people can come out and watch the production?
Absolutely. It'll be this next week, November the 10th and the 11th, right here in the high school auditorium. For children and students, cost is $4, and adults it'll be $6. Running time is approximately 2 hours. So.
Put it on your calendars.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We have one more segment. It's our final 4 segment. Just a couple fun questions. Answer as freely as you want with them. Do you have like a favorite movie?
Depends on my mood, but yeah, actually, probably my favorite movie of all time is probably Gone with the Wind.
Do you have any hobbies?
Drama.
Just drama?
Any
I
other
don't really have
hobbies?
time to do much else.
That's fair.
That tends to take my time 12 months a year.
If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, I've actually been trying to write one. It's an on-again, off-again project. Off again because I haven't touched it in 20 years. Since I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, it is a kind of a continuation of the storyline on what happened after. So.
And then what's a favorite production you've done?
Favorite production I've done? Well, with all due respect to the people who I've done now, probably the 2 most recent ones I had the most fun with. One was Wait Until Dark, which we did about 2 years ago, I think. Plays tend to run together. And then probably the show I got the most mileage of was a show we did back in 2017, which would have been a streetcar named in spring of 2016, beg your pardon. And that would have been A Streetcar Named Desire.
Cool. Well, thank you for watching and listening to At the Hill on the Rocket Productions Network. Remember to subscribe to the Rocket Productions Network on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or any place that you listen to podcasts. If you're not already a subscriber to Rocket Productions on YouTube, please subscribe. Until next time, for Kimberlyn Lovell and Jonathan Moore, I'm Alexa Marshall.